How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sundays, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern. Got a lot to talk about on the show today. Last night was Smackdown, the follow-up to Fastlane. Show that I thought was a pretty good show. What did you think about it? We can talk about it here today on the show. I'll be doing the same later on this afternoon with Filthy Tom Lawler, who, if you didn't check it out last week, now on video, Filthy Tom Lawler. He is not played by Giraffe. He is played by himself with a camera. So we'll be doing another video show this afternoon, also available for audio subscribers at WrestlingObserver.com. But your thoughts on SmackDown today, you're welcome to give us those. What did you think of, in particular, the Kofi Kingston angle at the end of the show and the Becky Lynch promo in the middle of the show? Those are the two things that people seem to be talking most about. But, of course, there was a lot of other stuff on the show. The Joe and Andrade versus Ray and Truth match. Daniel Bryan and the Vintner versus Kevin Owens and Mustafa Ali. And much, much more. We could talk about that. Plus, my favorite thing, maybe. My favorite feud. I got two favorite feuds, I guess. I love the stuff they're doing with Big Dave Batista and Triple H. And I also love what they're doing with Randy Orton and AJ Styles. So we can talk about both of those on the show here today. We've also got some news. Dash Wilder talking about the story that they asked for their release back in January. Gave some comments to the Mirror in the UK. We've got an ROH World Championship match announced for the G1 Supercard of Honor at Madison Square Garden, as well as the full lineup for the card thus far. We could talk about that today. Also take your phone calls, emails, text messages, and more. Hopefully not about Roman Reigns. We got the Raw rating from Monday night and so much more. If you want to give us a call, 844-411-5411 is the phone number. That is toll-free, 844-411-5411. You can always send your text messages to 425-780-7566. And my email, Bryan at WrestlingObserver.com. Back in a moment with more Wrestling Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. And you'll never guess what's happening right now, everyone. The phones are going crazy.
Whoa.
Why? Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's going on?
Hey, Bryan. It's Edward from California. The first thing I need to say is I am so sorry I opened up that can of Baron Corbin worms yesterday on the radio.
It's your fault.
And I did have a quick question, but just wanted to give my general thoughts of SmackDown. The Kofi stuff I really like. I started watching wrestling in 2005, so I've literally seen his whole career. And, like, the stuff with Vince I thought was really good. I'm still excited for Becky, Charlotte, and Ronda, but I think I'm most stoked about AJ and Orton. I mean, and they only had the one promo, but it was, like, really good.
Yeah.
And, oh, no, sorry.
I was going to say I agree with you. I want to thank you very much for the call and not mentioning Baron Corbin here today. So, a couple of things. First off, I did really like the Randy Orton AJ Styles deal. Thought it was great. Randy Orton agrees with me 100%. This is not the house that AJ Styles built. I had all the wackos telling me that, well, AJ's talking about SmackDown Live when it moved to Tuesday. It's like, come on. He didn't say, this SmackDown Live on Tuesday is the house that AJ Styles built. He said SmackDown. Randy Orton realized that this is preposterous. They cut a promo on the guy. They buried each other. Now I want to see them fight. It's going to be awesome. And more so than just, hey, it's two guys who don't like each other that are going to fight. There's also the kind of mildly insider deal where, hey, Randy Orton's a WWE guy. AJ Styles is an indie guy. AJ says Randy can't hang. Randy thinks this is ridiculous. And these two guys, these two styles are going to clash at WrestleMania. Very excited for this match here. As far as the Kofi thing goes, this was apparently very controversial. Some people liked it. Some people hated it. Some people felt that Kofi was too whiny. You know what you signed up for? What are you complaining about being on the road for 11 years for? And even Vince McMahon. I was so pleased last night. All the things that I say about Vince McMahon, I was pleased to know that he agrees with me that You Deserve It sucks. He flat out said, you don't deserve anything. No, I don't even deserve anything, he says. It's all about earning your opportunities. And at the end of the day, they could have brought up that Kofi has, in fact, beaten the champion multiple times, and so he has earned his opportunity. They didn't mention that nearly enough. But the only thing that I didn't like about it, and I just will wait, maybe I'm wrong. Only thing I didn't like about it is they announced that next week, in order to get a shot at Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania, Kofi Kingston has to run the gauntlet. Dude, we saw that. This is classic WWE where they did something and Kofi was there's no way he was supposed to get over as big as he did. But he did, because they did something, it organically got over, it organically caught on, and now they have to do it again the WWE way. Now next week they're going to have to book it, and it's going to be wacky, and like he's going to have to overcome these odds, and I'm sure there's going to be something where he gets screwed. I could be wrong. I just don't like it. I don't like that they're doing it again. I already saw it. It was great the first time. You can't put magic back in the bottle. You know what I'm saying? But I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Well, it's happening all just 'cause. Like, that's it. Why are you screwing over Kofi as opposed to somebody else? Because we got a couple weeks to lead into WrestleMania, and we have to put our spin on this. We can't build this up as this man is just going to have a match with Daniel Bryan. No, we have got to have him overcome everything and everyone, and I'm sure there's going to be a couple giants to slay along the way for Kofi to defeat as he goes through the gauntlet and tries to earn his championship opportunity at the grandest stage of them all, WrestleMania. Hope we got all the buzzwords in there as I point to the screen right now. But yeah, I mean, it's doing something just to do something, and it's not the best, but compared to how they've gone about some things, at least we're getting the match. It seems like we're not going to have any extra bodies added in as a three-way or anything like that. So we're getting this. We're just getting it in the WWE way. So it doesn't really matter at the end of it. Hopefully, much like the Ronda situation with Becky and Charlotte, hopefully Becky stands tall at the end there. And I don't know if Kofi's going to stand, tall at the end, but he probably should. And the way they're setting this up, stacking all of these odds against him, they probably should.
Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's up? Hello. Going once.
Phones, man.
Going twice.
They're hard.
It's not the phones, it's the caller issue. I could hear him there on the other end. All right, caller, you're on the air. What's going on? Caller, you're on the air. What's going on?
Yeah. Hey, I was still ringing.
He can hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, you're there.
Can you hear me now?
I hear you fine. Mike's making this difficult.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Just comments on Orton and Styles thing from last night. I was there at the arena last night, and also I was there last night, and I was at the Youngstown house show, the Smackdown house show the night before in Youngstown, and Orton and AJ wrestled each other there too. And there's some things I've been noticing, like when I read reports of other house show matches that they have over the past week or two they've been doing, and the Youngstown one from Monday, and it was pretty much the same way last night, even though there might have been some audio problems or might have not muted some of it, but Orton is getting cheered way more.
Yeah, he's a baby face. It's bizarre.
He might as well be.
Yeah, I mean, I think he is.
Might as well be. I mean,
maybe he's not.
The show Monday in Youngstown. I mean, yeah, but this is AJ we're talking about,
Well, yeah.
And, but the Youngstown show, I mean, midway through the match, I mean, there was a huge Randy chant. I mean, just came out of nowhere, and I mean, it lasted for like 30 seconds, and AJ was just looking around. He was all confused. It was funny, but yeah, I don't know if this is going to happen to me or not, but it might not be too surprising.
Okay, let me ask you two questions. Well, one question. Of last night when you were there live, who got the bigger pop coming out, Kofi Kingston or Becky Lynch?
I'd have to say Kofi.
Okay, that's what I
would have
thought.
to say Kofi.
That's what I thought.
I mean,
that's what some others thought as well.
Orton and AJ actually was more than Becky.
Really?
I mean, I think Becky's popularity, I'm kind of agreeing with what they're saying. I think her popularity is fading.
Well, I mean, if you watch Fastlane, I mean...
Thank you for playing into Bryan's hands.
That's true. I mean, did you watch the show last night? I mean,
she's a true ratings killer, isn't she?
I didn't say that.
You're never going to get over.
Oh,
with her.
get out of here, Mike! But you changed the
Brian,
narrative.
That's how a lot of people believe that.
No, it's not. I said she hasn't helped. I didn't say she's hurt. I didn't say she was a ratings killer like you just said right there. I said she hasn't helped, and she hasn't. It's just a fact of the matter. And she was not the most over babyface on the show last night after Sunday. So I'm just telling you what I saw and what he saw, and he was there. What do you want to do? Say we're lying? That's just the way it is.
Oh, no.
And other people saying the exact same thing. All right, let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's up?
Hey, Brian. Just had a quick comment. Kind of wanted to get your thoughts on this. So about three months ago, they came out on TV and they told us how they're going to listen to the fans and everything was going to change. But then in the shows that followed, the large reaction was that, nothing's really changed. Well, now it seems as if they're actually listening to the fans because the fans got behind Kofi, and now they're going to give him a shot. And the fans were rallying behind Becky, so they're going to give her, a little bit of a shot. I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts. Do you think they're actually listening to the fans, or is this just like, one of the phases that they're going to be going through?
Well, I think this is, I want to thank you very much for the call. I think this is exactly the same as it's always been. I mean, Becky was going to be in the WrestleMania main event long before the McMahons came out and said they were going to listen to the fans. And the thing where they came out and said they were listening to the fans, I mean, that was on TV. That was like their characters. And their characters are not listening to the fans at all. I mean, yeah, they could have not gone with Kofi Kingston, but they didn't really have anybody for Daniel Bryan. So Kofi got over, Bryan needed an opponent, and they went with it. So I'm glad they did, but I don't think this is like a big change for WWE to have done that. Back in a moment, Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. I want to start off before I go any further by just reading this text right here. The reactions to Becky last night is fueling Bryan's hate for her. Okay, because you've texted a lot of times, I'm going to spare you this time. But next time, I will block your number. You will no longer be able to text the show. I have a zero-tolerance policy on Twitter, by the way. So a lot of you out there on Twitter, you're screaming at a wall on a regular basis because I don't see it. You don't even get one chance. Like, you mess up on Twitter and you're muted. I never will see you again, okay? Never have I stated that I hate Becky. I don't hate Becky. I'm very happy that Becky is getting this opportunity at WrestleMania. If you can't figure out what I'm talking about here, then I don't want you communicating with the show. That's it. So that's your warning right there. Okay? That goes for everybody.
What are you saying here?
That goes for everybody. All right? When I sit here and say that Becky has not noticeably moved numbers, in what universe does that mean that I hate Becky Lynch? That I want to see her fail? That I don't like her? That I hate her? In what universe? None.
Well, let me ask you a question. It seems to be that it has been quite pronounced, you pointing this out, whereas you maybe have not done that time after time after time with other people.
Who?
I don't.
Who else is being pushed really hard that people are comparing to Stone Cold Steve Austin?
Well, you pointed out that it's not moved the ratings, and you could say that about kind of everything that they've done.
You're right. And everybody should understand that. It's been made clear a million times. We talked about this with Daniel Bryan. Did people have to talk about how Dave and I hated Daniel Bryan because we pointed out that during the Yes Movement, it really wasn't moving business? Do we hate Daniel Bryan? How come it's Becky?
I'm just pointing this out.
That's it.
Here.
I'm pointing it out. Okay? If somebody else, if people start comparing Kofi Kingston...
Did you say it over and over and over again, though?
If people start saying that on a daily basis about Kofi Kingston, I'm going to say the same thing about Kofi Kingston. That's it. I'm going to point out the reality of this. Okay? So, I don't want to hear people telling me that I hate Becky Lynch. That means you're not listening. So... That's it.
As part of the Daniel Bryan storyline, though, did you point out specifically when talking about it, seemingly every single time that you pointed out with Becky Lynch, is that she hasn't moved the ratings? Are you doing this because you have done it in the past with Daniel Bryan?
No, I'm doing this because every day I have people texting me and posting on the board and emailing me about how Becky is over. She's the most over person on the show. Nobody even knows what over means anymore. Like, are you telling me, should I come on this show and go, you know who's the most over person on SmackDown? Randy Orton, because he got the biggest pop last night. Now, it'd be ridiculous to say that Randy Orton is the most over person on SmackDown. He got the biggest pop last night. He got big pops on the house shows. Charlotte gets big pops on the house shows. It's just a big pop. You can manipulate anything for somebody to get a big pop. Dude, you could have Hulk Hogan come back at a house show tomorrow. He'd get by far the biggest pop on the entire show. Is he moving any business whatsoever with that loud pop? We've seen it a million times with Hogan. He comes back, everybody cheers. It means zero for business. So, like, do you guys remember when they put that Universal title or whatever it was, the Unified title or whatever on Hulk Hogan back in like 2002, 2003? Like, Hogan came back. Everybody was going crazy for Hogan. He was like the most over guy in the entire promotion. It was like 1983 all over again. Hulk Hogan was back. And they ended up putting the title on him, and it flopped. Because Hogan was not the guy. He should not have been made the champion. He should not have been the guy trying to carry the business. It was just a pop. And Becky's getting a huge pop right now. I'm very happy. I hope Becky Lynch main events and closes the show at WrestleMania. I hope she does. I hope Kofi Kingston beats Daniel Bryan and becomes the champion at WrestleMania. I hope he does. But when I point out that it's not changing the business, it's not turning everything around, when I argue with people that try to tell me that it is, doesn't mean that I hate these people. I don't understand why I have to explain this. It's infuriating.
Just something adjacent to that, it was completely worth it at the end when Hogan got the title because it ended with Brock Lesnar wiping Hogan's blood all over him and standing there like a monster. So at least that visual made everything a little bit more worth it.
People are just saying you hate Becky because she's a woman and there's a bunch of white knights out there. You're stating a simple fact based on metrics. Why are people struggling with this? I don't think it's all white knighting. I mean, obviously there's a little bit of that, but it just happens to be that the person that people are comparing to Stone Cold Steve Austin happens to be a woman. That's what happens. It could be Kofi. It could have been anybody. Anybody could have got a pop. And I would have said the same thing. Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's going on?
Hi, Brian. It's Patrick in Rochester. I just wanted to call in and talk about the Kofi Kingston match for next week, the gauntlet match. I was just thinking, if your guy 2, 3, 4, or 5 and Kofi just beats you, doesn't that just make them a geek?
Well, I mean, I've had other people mention the fact that AJ and Joe are both hot right now, and they're in this gauntlet, and they will also have to be beaten. Now, granted, they could be beaten via disqualification. AJ Styles could cost Randy Orton the match. John Cena or whoever could cost Samoa Joe the match. I mean, that's a lot in one gauntlet match. But, I mean, he can beat Rowan. That's not a big deal. He can beat Sheamus. He can beat Cesaro. But I am a little bit worried about Joe and AJ. I don't want to see him beaten again. But, hey, listen, if the guy's going to WrestleMania for the main event championship match, then quite frankly, he probably should beat AJ and Joe. I just wish they weren't in the match if that's what's going to happen.
They do, but I don't see, if he wins this gauntlet match, does it make one person that's not already going to watch a show purchase the show?
No.
It seems like to me like you're just wasting guys here.
I agree. I don't think they should do it again. You're right.
No, absolutely. Thanks, Brian. Take care.
Thank you very much for the call. By the way, you guys want to know who the biggest ratings mover is in WWE? Do you want to know who the face of the company is? Do you want to know who is the current day Stone Cold Steve Austin in this company? The answer is daylight savings time.
Oh, yeah?
Because once again, it happens every year, and people say it's not true, but it just keeps happening. It's daylight savings time. The clocks got moved back an hour, and once again, the second hour of Raw was now the highest rated hour of Raw. Happens every year. So the 3 hours, 2.84 first hour, which was way low compared to the last couple of weeks, and then it grew to hour 2. 2.87 million viewers, and a strong third hour, 2.75 million viewers. It was the second best number the show has done since September 3rd. The third hour, only down 3% from the first hour, well below recent weeks where it's hovered closer to 20%. Key of the third hour, the Triple H Batista confrontation, pushing of Kurt Angle's announcement, as well as his final match in Pittsburgh, and a show-long push for Roman Reigns' first singles match, even though that match never happened. The second hour, which was the strongest hour of the show, had the Ronda Rousey promo, and Ricochet and Aleister Black versus Bobby Roode and Chad Gable, which went like 3 minutes, and Nia Jax versus Natalya. So there you go. Daylight savings time should be main eventing WrestleMania, in my opinion.
That number wasn't up tonight because of Nia Jackson that hour?
I highly doubt she was the main mover for that hour. But I could be wrong. Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's going on?
Hey, Brian. Hey, Mike. It's Tony from Philadelphia. I haven't called in a while. What's going on?
What's happening?
Hey, well, first off, Mike, I just want to give a quick shout out to Bryce Harper for following both the money and his heart. And despite what the drifter Elias might say, his career is not coming to Philly to die. Anyway,
I agree.
I wanted to talk about... thank you. I wanted to talk about the Batista-Triple H confrontation on Raw and the feud in general. I loved their confrontation on Raw. I thought they were both great. But is it just me, or is this storyline completely backwards?
It should be Triple H demanding his win back from Batista, yes.
Exactly. Why is Batista the one desperate for this match? He says he wants to go out on his own terms.
I'll tell you why.
But he's...
You want me to tell you why? Because they're in this mode right now of building feuds around reality. And Batista's done interviews over the last couple of years talking about how he wants to come back for one last run. He wants to come back for like a match with Triple H at WrestleMania. And he calls and he talks, and they never call him back. And they're trying to bring that into this storyline. That's why the storyline is going the way that it is.
But, I mean, in a vacuum, that may make sense. But when it comes down to it, you know, Triple H lost to Batista 3 times in a row in 2005, including at WrestleMania. He's beaten him at Mania. And if I were to do some fantasy booking, what I would do is I would have had Batista return at Triple H, Ric Flair's birthday party as a babyface. And that's where Triple H turns heel and beats down Batista, referencing that promo on SmackDown when Evolution reunited, because I think that makes the most sense, because even though they're trying to root the storyline in reality, as you say, they did do that segment where Batista outright told Triple H, "You've done everything but beat me." That's already planted in the fans' minds, so the storyline makes even less sense now, because Batista outright said, "You've never beat me," but now Batista is possibly wanting a match with Triple H where he can beat him.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, listen, the idea you have is a good idea as well. I mean, in their minds, the big story here is that Batista was ignored, and he found a way to get Triple H's attention, and now he wants to end the man's career. That's how angry he is at this guy. So that's the story they came up with. And if you think about babyface heel, this company has a short-term memory. So they're not remembering what happened in 2005. They're remembering when he came back a few years ago as a babyface. Everybody booed him out of the building and hated his guts. Now he's coming back as a heel. I think he'd be a great babyface. I'd cheer Dave. Back in a moment with more Observer Live. Back on the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also WrestlingObserver.com. I got a lot of text messages here. We'll get into those in a moment. If you want to give us a call, there are lines open, 844-411-5411. This is the current lineup for the G1 Supercard at Madison Square Garden, Saturday, April 6th. We have got Jay White versus the winner of the New Japan Cup, which is ongoing right now. Marty Scurll will challenge for the ROH title, and I guess we'll find out who that's going to be, because Lethal has been the ROH champion since June. Matt Taven claiming to be the real champion, and they will be facing off at the anniversary pay-per-view. We have got the Taiji Ishimori versus Dragon Lee and Bandito triple threat match. We have got the Tama Tonga Tangaloa versus Briscoes, with both sets of titles on the line here. And we also have the Honor Rumble. By the way, Friday the pay-per-view, it'll be PCO and Brody King versus the Briscoes. So possibly this match could be changed, perhaps. We'll have to find out. Could be Marty Scurll versus Matt Taven, in fact, of all people. So we shall see. That's the lineup thus far. Everything will come into, I guess, we'll find out more after the anniversary pay-per-view. So there you go. That is the lineup. All right, some text messages here. Part says, I think it's obvious next week in the Gauntlet, AJ interferes in the Orton part, Ray interferes in the Joe part, and New Day interferes with the Bar. It will not be the same magic the last Gauntlet was. Well, that would certainly not be the same magic. That I can say. And last time Batista was wrestling was before Guardians of the Galaxy came out. He should definitely be the babyface now that he is a superhero. Well, that's not the road they decided to hoe, quite frankly.
I was going to say, is he his character from Guardians of the Galaxy? Why would he be heroic? Did he not leave there whiny? Did he not leave there yelling and screaming, saying how people don't understand him? In a way, it's kind of just an extension of that. Big Dave is back after quitting, and now he's got things to say, and he's got feelings. Triple H is there to fight those feelings.
Person says, Vince has apparently created heaven and earth, according to himself. What an ego the old man has. Well, yeah, that's what he said. He flat out said that in the interview. I have to say that my ego is the greatest of all time would be an understatement, I believe he said. Something like that.
Wrestled God at a pay-per-view.
He did. I think he won.
Yeah, I believe he did by count-out or something, did he not?
I'll have to go back and check.
Put himself over God.
Person says, I thought this was AJ's house, or Paige's house. It was AJ the contractor. I don't know. We'd have to put that together in canon. Who's the builder and who lives there?
Doesn't matter. He didn't move ratings.
Who, AJ? Actually, he did a little bit, now that you mention it.
Did he?
This person here says, I would have had Joe DQ, or I would have Joe get DQ'd on purpose to destroy Kofi, so Kofi is seemingly helpless, then have Randy lose due to AJ. They both lose, but they're protected. Yep, you could do that. Could do that.
We're making this thing way too convoluted here.
Well...
Does everybody have to have interference in their part of the gauntlet? I mean, for Christ's
They're booking the gauntlet now. Now they got to make it a story. Now they got to write the story as opposed to letting it be an organic story like last time.
I'm not saying you're not wrong or anybody's not wrong about this, but my God, listen to this where the first reactions are, okay, this is how this is going to go down. To make sure that this guy, who just keeps losing on the way to his title match, he's going to be facing off against people and they're going to knock each other off, and then that's really going to help him along the way. It's just so WWE.
Person says, if that texture is correct, wouldn't any or all of those scenarios get Kofi DQ'd? That's a good point. Also depends on if the referee is watching. Or maybe Vince will come out and he'll say, it's a no DQ gauntlet, pal.
Charles Robinson is there. You know how he can be, his reputation sometimes in some of these situations comes up a little bit hazy. So maybe Charles Robinson will be at play here.
Person says, AJ would always say SmackDown Live is the house that AJ Styles built. The forced WWE verbiage that they make him say actually makes sense. Well, I also have to say last night, that New Day promo with Vince, let me see if I wrote down the line here. I mean, they were tripping all over themselves trying to only say the proper WWE verbiage. Let's see here. So, I think it was Xavier says, Kofi pinned the champion and was never given the opportunity for the WWE championship. It's like, okay. And then Big E said, Kofi deserves a chance to compete for the WWE championship. It's like they were speaking their own language. Can't say belt. It's just bizarre.
Can't just say you're screwing the brothers over like you usually do, Vince. Can't say that.
Vince's comments about Kofi in the Hall of Fame. This person goes, when I heard Vince lecturing Kofi about his Hall of Fame chances, I couldn't help but laugh. I immediately imagined him having a version of that speech to Stevie Ray and at least half of DX at some point in their careers. Pal, you'll be in someday, but you ain't going in alone. You're only going in with the New Day.
Oh, God.
I'm like, have you seen your own Hall of Fame? They'll all go in as New Day and by themselves.
Of course.
And probably as individual tag teams, like Big E and Kofi will go in, then Big E and Xavier will go in, then Xavier and Kofi will go in.
Oh, the best.
Then they'll all go in. Then the Pancakes will go in.
Oh no, even better. At some point, they're going to buy the TNA library or the license, a little piece of it. We're going to have Truth and Consequences.
Yes,
will make it into the Hall of Fame.
They'll go in as well. Truth and Consequences.
Truth goes in. K Quick goes in. Ron the Truth Killings goes in, former NWA champion. We can get Ron Killings in there at least 4 different ways.
This person here says, fans want Kofi and Becky both to win. Both are not winning at Mania. Well, Paul,
Stop it.
Get back to me after Mania, my friend.
Who texted that? Write that
Paul.
number down.
Not Paul in Barbersville, not that Paul.
Oh, my God.
All right, let's see what else we got here.
The riot.
It says, when WWE uses that verbiage, it's funny. When fans start talking like that, it's scary. Why? That's the way they've been trained.
Oh, what, are they desecrating your place of worship?
They've been trained to say that. That's what happened.
Is that your church? There's no sanctuary there.
Should Raw have gone off the air with daylight savings time pointing at the WrestleMania sign? Yes.
Everybody points to a big clock?
Yes. How easy would it have been, this person said, to book the New Day versus Owens and Ali at WrestleMania with the winning team getting into a three-way match at the next pay-per-view? Well, they could do that.
No.
But we got to have a lot of multi-person matches at WrestleMania to make sure that everybody gets on the card. Because they all deserve it. Even though Vince hates that word.
What's happening with Asuka?
Well, she'll probably end up facing Sonya and Mandy, would be my guess.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I don't know why, watching the storyline. I just can't think of anything else.
Well, I guess Mandy at WrestleMania.
Or maybe she'll just be in the Mae Young Battle Royal or whatever. WrestleMania main event, daylight savings time versus vacant. It would be that would be a great battle. The person says all these multi-man tag matches and Rico Black, I guess that's Ricochet and Aleister Black, participating on both brands, feels like an impending tag brand unification. Well, it could, but they flat out said that everybody who has been called up can go on either brand until the shakeup. That's the story they've told. It doesn't make sense, it's ridiculous, but that's the story they've told.
You know who's great? The Usos.
They are.
It was also great, Dash and Dawson, too. So let me just get a tag team match between those two teams at WrestleMania. I'm probably not going to, but that would be kind of nice, just because it would be kind of nice.
In an interview with The Mirror, Dash Wilder stated that the report of him and Scott Dawson asking for their release back in January was, quote, lost in translation. What? What does that even mean? There were some things that got out of there that I don't think people knew the full story about, he said. I don't think it aggravated us. Kind of gave us, we like to be angry, he said. We like to be mad at things and have something to fight for. So that gave us more fuel for the fire. And we're like, well, we'll have fun with the internet over that, as they don't know what's what, so we're not going to tell them otherwise. That's a long way around the bend right there. Trying to explain what happened.
Uh-huh.
There you go. I do like when WWE gets mad that fans make presumptions, but then they won't actually talk to the fans. So all the fans can do is make presumptions. This person says, hoping for 3 things from WrestleMania. Angle versus Cena. You may get that. They've actually both been promoting that match, believe it or not. But
I'm for that.
Kofi wins. That one I'm not so sure about. But it could happen. And Undertaker surprise squash match.
Nah.
That's looking unlikely right now.
Yeah.
I
can live without that one.
First says, isn't it better for both Becky and Charlotte to get a rub from Ronda? A 3-way makes sense. Yes, that's the whole idea from day one, why they were doing this. Give them both the rub. Any update on what is going to happen to NXT moving forward with the championship? No, we'll find out soon. You got to make a decision soon. I still don't like the tournament idea. We're in the middle of a tournament already. It's like all NXT would be for an entire month is just tournament matches. I mean, you could do it, but I don't like it. I'm in the middle of the Dusty Classic. We got to get through the semifinals this week, and then they'd immediately come back the week after and start a tournament to determine who's going to get the championship match for the singles belt. Notice I said belt. Bert says, Chris in Vegas. Now my kids make up sentences about belts and tell me they said a bad word. Well, that is a bad word. If they want to be wrestlers, you need to wash their mouths out with soap when they use that term belt. That's a bad word.
If they want to be wrestlers, then they're fine with it. If they want to be sports entertainers in the universe, then maybe they have to change it up.
Is daylight savings time a man or a woman? That's a good question.
Yes.
I would think like Mother Earth, daylight savings time would be a female.
Ma Dukes.
So, in fact, right now, the biggest ratings mover in WWE is female, in my opinion.
What a mother.
This person says, Kofi has already beaten Samoa Joe in a gauntlet match. I'm sure he can do it again. Well, I'm sure he can, but I don't want to see Joe beaten again. I mean, Joe's been beaten plenty of times. Bryan's been beaten too often. At least Bryan's not in that gauntlet. Thank God. Any ideas for plans for Balor at Mania? Have not heard anything. Also could be a Battle Royal fella if they're doing those Battle Royals.
I don't think I want to put Kofi in that match and then beat him.
Well, I don't want to, but I look at it like this is WWE, and in their minds, they're probably thinking, well, Becky's going over, pal. We can get some heat and beat Kofi. Come back at the next show.
I don't like the visual of that. I don't know. I don't like it. If you're going to go, to me, have both Becky and Kofi stand tall. You know, maybe you have more plans for Becky and her run than you do Kofi, especially if Ronda's going to leave. You know, you're going to be shaking things up between the brands anyway. Who knows? But I don't know. I think this would be a good time to go ahead and pull the trigger, if only for one night.
This person says you don't use any other examples. You single out Becky for absolutely no good reason. Okay, listen, buddy. I want you to find me examples on the internet of anyone saying that anybody else is Stone Cold Steve Austin, the modern-day Stone Cold Steve Austin, or The Rock. If you find one for me, I'll say the exact same thing. So the ball's in your court. Find one for me.
Do you think that maybe they were just kind of talking about, like, the perception of her and how they want to build her, not, like, tying it to the ratings and beating that to death in the same way that they feel you're beating it to death and you have to add an asterisk every single time?
No. I don't add it every single time. I only add it when people start talking about how she's the most over person on the show.
Just saying
she's not.
To many people,
big
that
dog.
has stood out.
It's a big dog in daylight savings time, which this person notes is a male. Father Time is a male. Okay, fine. Person has 10 title matches. If you add in the Batista match, Shane match, Angle match, Roman match, Battle Royals, HER, and 17 matches. Please don't tell me they won't do that. They won't do that. So there's
17.
probably going to be title matches not taking place. That guy was right yesterday, I think. Back in a moment, Observer Live. This person here says, well, what about Ronda Rousey? You called her the current Rock Austin, face of the company. She ain't moving ratings either. Ronda Rousey is plastered over every single solitary thing they send to anybody in the mainstream. If you go to see the thumbnail or whatever for Raw and Smackdown, YouTube TV, it's Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey is on everything they send out to everybody, and she was the single most important person on the roster by a significant margin in them getting a $2.3 billion television deal. So yes, she was the face of the company when Roman Reigns was gone. And this person notes, NXT tapings later tonight, Full Sail. Hunter's got to have that NXT title decision ready. That's right. And I hope it's a ladder match, everybody. Listen, in the middle of the Dusty Classic, when these fans have been sitting here at Full Sail watching tournament matches here for the last couple sets of tapings, what do you think is going to get a better reaction? Hunter coming out and saying the top 6 contenders will be competing in a ladder match at WrestleMania for the vacant NXT title, or we're going to have a tournament and the winner is going to get a shot at the title. And by the way, there is no champion. So the winner faces Johnny Gargano, I guess. A tournament to face Johnny Gargano. Which sounds more exciting? And that's nothing against Johnny Gargano. I want him in the ladder match as well. But I think a ladder match is going to get over way bigger than another tournament in the middle of tournament season in NXT. Don't they have another tournament coming up too? What's the other tournament they do?
The Mae Young?
I don't think that's for a while.
Mae Young, the Dusty, what else we got?
Well, anyway, we'll see what happens tonight. We'll tell you about it tomorrow, everybody. So be ready. We're out of time. Myself and Filthy Tom on later on today. I want to thank Mike as always, callers and listeners, everybody in the studio. We'll talk to you next time. Wrestling Observer Live.